Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Roby Insurance, www.hssp.cc, sportsjuice.com. HSSP has been good to us, but we will not be saying the likes of them for too much longer.
Yeah, the easiest way to get to us is on BulletPunchBoxingHour.com.
Absolutely. That's probably how you're listening to us now. But there are some listeners over at HSSP/HSSM that came on over, and we love you just the same. We love you the same.
You can reach us tonight at 219-743-9743 is the hotline. Yahoo Instant Messenger is up and running. How you doing, Pete Perry out there in upstate New York there?
What's up, PP?
He's on the Instant Messenger. You can find us on the Instant Messenger. Keyword Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, or send us an email at bolopunchboxinghour@yahoo.com.
Saturday night, Temecula, California. Welterweight action. Carlos Quintana wins a 12-round unanimous decision over Paul the Punisher Williams. He wins the WBO welterweight championship of the world, if you count WBO as a world title. Now, for their organization, of course, it is 116 to 112 twice and 115 to 113 once. Williams loses his first time. I mean, that's awesome. Quintana still only one loss to Cotto. 19 of his 25 wins come by way of knockout. Williams doesn't have as many knockouts as I thought he did.
And Quintana has a lot of upsets as well. Right now, he has Julio. He has the cat.
I loved that Joel Julio fight
because
that was
really a surprise.
We were calling it the Julio fight.
Yeah.
We were playing Bago at your house.
Yeah.
Or cornhole if you're south of here.
But everybody was like, Julio's losing in there. We're like, what?
No, he isn't. Who's Quintana? Who is this guy?
And we went in there, and it was the day of truth. Johnny Duncan was over there. He's like, he's schooling him, man. That's why he was just too quick for Julio. And then, Paul Williams, like you said, he doesn't have as many knockouts as you expected, but 19 out of 25 wins is still a pretty hefty percentage there. But he gets his knockouts more from accumulation of punches. He throws over 100 punches around. I believe he was over 100 punches around in this fight as well, but not as many were landed. Quintana knew how to duck and dodge out of the way and move his head.
Dip, dodge, duck, dive, and dodge. Talk about the scoring on this fight, Mo. I mean, one of the judges had it only by 2 points for Quintana.
I had it pretty close as well. You said it looked like a kid beating up his daddy. I wouldn't quite go that far. I thought Williams held his own in there, but he did not look the same as he has in the past. Even against Margarito, which he faded a little bit in the Margarito fight as well. But this whole time, Quintana just seemed to have him a little bit confused.
I think you're being nice. I don't think Paul Williams faded. I think he showed up faded. I'm talking
about in the Margarito fight. In the Margarito fight, he was winning the early rounds, and he faded towards the end, and then he won the last round.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, okay. But
in this one, he was kind of...
What did you think of Paul Williams' performance, I guess?
In this fight, it was a little bit different. Like I said, Quintana was confusing him throughout the whole fight. Paul Williams was winning rounds here and there. I thought he was keeping it close because Quintana wasn't landing as much as Paul Williams, but he was landing definitely the bigger shots.
Yeah.
And I thought that was what was winning him most of the rounds, but the majority of the rounds anyway. But I thought it was pretty close. I only had him. I think I had Quintana up by 2 points, which isn't too far from what these judges had.
I had Quintana up by 4. I didn't see Williams land very much. That was hurting him. Although you look at Quintana at the end, he looked bruised and red.
To me, his eyes looked a little red underneath them. They looked a little baggy.
He had some abrasions up on his face, leather marks, But Williams looked sliced and diced, man. There is a picture of him. First, he comes into the ring with this really stupid mohawk, and
you know what? Max was saying he thinks it would draw some fans to him just because people would recognize the mohawk. Now that he's starting to get on the big stage.
Well, they're going to recognize those big French fry-sized cuts on his eye.
I don't believe he's ever been cut.
He was cut on both eyes, man.
And I don't think he's ever been hurt. I don't really think he was hurt in this fight.
I don't think he was hurt either. He had no idea what to do, though. And you might as well be hurt. If you're okay but can't land, I think the judges gave him some gift rounds.
I don't know about giving him gift rounds because I think he was landing more punches than what Quintana was, and I think that's why they gave him those rounds. And but you can't take anything away from Quintana. Quintana's still. I mean, he keeps upsetting people, and still nobody. Even with beating Paul Williams, everybody's going to say he was unproven. He didn't have the amateur fights that that Quintana had. But you can't take that from Quintana. So what if he had the amateur fights? He still has them, doesn't he?
Yes, if Williams had won, it would be, well, of course he won. He's bigger.
Yeah.
He's better. He's stronger. He's a freak of nature how tall he is. And he's got a great mohawk now. Of course he won. I mean, Jesus. But Quintana wins, and now it's, oh, well, there must have been something wrong with Williams. Oh, we jumped on the bandwagon and looked swirly. It's like, God, we spent all this time talking about how Williams was going to slaughter him. He didn't slaughter him, and now, oh, there was probably something wrong with him the whole time.
Exactly what we talked about last week.
Exactly.
They build a fighter up, and then they do one thing wrong, and they're done. Wash them up, and
Well,
put
Paul
them away.
Williams came in a pretty big underdog when he fought Margarito. And he won that fight, which I picked him winning that fight because I knew how his punch output. I thought he would give Margarito a lot of trouble. But
I can't agree that Williams came in as a pretty big underdog.
He
against
was.
Margarito.
He was.
I mean, you're the one that's on the
I bet on that fight.
You're the
He
one
was a
that
pretty
bet
big
on
underdog.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, not by guys that know.
Yeah, he was. I think it was 3 or
just
4
odds
to 1
makers.
underdog.
No. 3-1. Is that really
That's basically
insane?
That could pay you for some pretty good money.
What was Buster Douglas against Tyson?
That was
He was probably 8-1.
50 to 1.
50?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
It's like the biggest upset of all time.
I'm just saying. No. I'm just saying. I want to get a feel for odds because I don't do the betting thing. I don't do the odds.
You're going to get ripped on YouTube for that comparison.
No,
halfway comparison.
did I compare him to
Tyson
Tyson?
doesn't know anything.
Did I compare him to Tyson?
It sounded like you were.
No, I wanted to know what the odds were on the Tyson Douglas fight so that I could compare, so I could see, because I know that was easily, I mean, not just boxing, probably sports, the biggest upset ever. No one thought that
Pete
Buster Douglas.
Barrett's is actually about 100 to 1 probably. So.
Yeah.
It was. I believe.
Pete's got my back if no one else does.
I believe what I was rating it was 50 to 1, and actually the Zach Judah and Carlos Baldomir fight. Those odds were so bad that Vegas wasn't even putting out odds on it. But it was betting on it. So they took that one off. That was still almost just as big as the Tyson upset. Nobody had heard of Baldomir coming into that
Oh,
fight.
he was just selling those feather dust.
Yeah, he's a great feather duster seller.
Yeah. He was a great fighter for about a year.
Yeah, he sure did fade quick when he got
Fade quick, okay.
when he got rid of what's his name? What's the guy that just got inducted? Brusa.
Milka Brusa. Wouldn't even talk about it.
No, but once he got rid of him, he sure did fade pretty quick.
Yes. What does that tell you? You have a Milka Brusa in your corner, keep him there.
Exactly.
Welterweight action, Andre Berto, who has no nickname. TKO victory in the 6th round over Michel Trabant. Berto still undefeated, 21-0 with 18 knockouts. Trabant moves down to 43-3-1, 19 knockouts. They referred to Andre Berto as the 2006 ESPN Prospect of the Year, and Trabant just did not have an answer for him. Nothing worked at all. I was talking to, in setup for tonight's interview, I was talking to Berto's, one of his PR guys, whose name is James Fritz, and Fritz and I, we spoke about 20 minutes or so, that Berto hurt Trabant in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
And not even Berto I was expecting to be able to hurt him the way he did in the first round. Trabant was supposed to be very, very slick and very able to put up the defense.
He still lasted there. What round was it? So 6 rounds, so he still lasted another 5 rounds after that.
After getting clocked in the first.
Yeah.
And you'll find that in fighters that fight two good fighters, they get together. You're thinking that the guy might be playing possum, and actually you hurt him. You're just afraid to take that information, process it in your head that you actually did hurt him. Because if you start, going for the kill, you might be,
It's not always good to go for that early in the fight either. Just take what punches are given to you and not go a little crazy. And that's what Berto did. And
Do you think Andre Berto was looking for a knockout in the first round?
I don't think so.
No.
He was looking for an exciting fight, though. And
He wanted to see what Trabant had, and he realized that he didn't have nearly as much as he thought he had.
yeah, well, he didn't have nearly as much as what Berto had, basically.
Well, okay, that's how that comes out. But, I mean, man, who are we going to see Berto fight in the future?
Well, he's ranked number 1 now by the WBC, so you know he's going to be getting some big-time fights here coming up. He's slowly stepped himself up. Went to Estrada first, and now Trabant, and who knows what's in the future. He's definitely going to be fighting a top 10 guy coming up next, I would think.
And the WBC will put him in with anybody because they don't care.
Yeah.
They'll make up a match So they'd be like, okay, who do you want to fight? We'll make him the number 2. Nothing against the WBC, but they kind of do things their own way. Heavyweight action on the undercard of that. I wish this one had been televised. Cristobal Arreola. TKO victory in the first round over Cliff Kauser. I mean, my God, Christopher Arreola. I mean, they're yes, Cristobal or Christopher, Chris, whatever. He is a Mexican heavyweight, and he punches like a crazy man.
Yeah, he's got diamond behind those gloves.
Yes, he does. Areola is still undefeated, 23-0, 21 knockouts.
And they're actually saying he's one of the most exciting. Him and Pavaka would be a great fight to watch those two guys blast each other.
Sam Peter.
I don't know. He's just not the same style as those two guys, though, where they look for that huge punch to land. Sam Peter's kind of
he's got the dynamite, though.
Yeah, he's got the dynamite, but he sets it up behind the jab. These two guys jump in with their punches, and they're a little bit smaller too. So it looks like they're hitting you even harder just because they're so much smaller.
I'm digging Chris Arreola. I saw the fight on YouTube. It only lasted like a minute and a half.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on YouTube. I would have put that on our page.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and put it back on. I mean, it was on, and then they took it off, and then it was back on yesterday. So we'll probably be able to snatch it.
Yeah, I'll throw it up there on my favorites.
Yeah, don't throw it up. Just put it up. Saturday night, Leon, Guanajuato. In Mexico.
Now this fight is on YouTube.
I have not seen this one. Junior middleweight, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. TKO victory in the very 8th round over Jose Celaya.
It's a pretty good fight.
Chavez Jr. still undefeated, 35-0 with 1 draw. 28 of his wins by knockout. Celaya 31-3 with 16 knockouts. My God.
Yeah, Celaya gave him a fight. I don't think Chavez was didn't think this was going to be the fight that he was going to get.
Yeah.
His cornerman, including his father, were saying, I think you're losing this fight. You might have to knock him out in the last 3 rounds to actually win this fight. He went out and did it. He landed that big... He started off by landing the left and hurting him early in the fight. Left hook hurt him, knocked him down. Slide went down, got back up, and battled through it. His eye, by the end of that round, by the end of the second round, was already almost shut. It was pretty pumped up. By the time he got to the 8th round, his eye was well shut, and he couldn't see that right hand coming.
See, I want to know why Chavez Jr. didn't have Chavez Sr. in his corner when he fought in Chicago a few months back.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Man, I want to shake Chavez Sr.'s hand. Holy God. And so I hear that Chavez Jr. is going to be fighting on the undercard, Diaz de los Diaz.
Oh, yeah, I bring all my...
I'm like, oh my God, Chavez is going to be there. No, he's back in Culiacan. Oh, it's like, great. Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks for sending your son, who is not as exciting as you were.
No, not as exciting, but he's a very skilled boxer. I'm watching him fight, keeping, how do you say his name? Celaya. He was keeping Celaya off of using those forearms, sticking him in. Jimmy had a lot of trouble in his last fight when the guy was grabbing him.
Yeah.
But what Chavez does is he'll get his fist in there and push him off, his forearm and push him off. And that's
well, he was doing that in Chicago. It's just getting you to that range so you can get caught. Here.
Yeah, it really shows how much experience he has. Even though he didn't have all the amateur experience, he jumped in pretty quickly to get in the mainstream. But I mean, obviously, the family that he's in, he fought outside the amateur ranks.
He's only 21 years old. He's got 36 fights.
Yeah, basically his amateur career is in the ring, in the pros.
His amateur career is in the pros.
He's been fighting. He started off fighting lesser fighters and his record basically.
Just trying to understand what you're saying.
I'll draw you a picture next time.
You might have to for saying something like his amateur career was in the professionals. Heavyweight action, Tommy the Duke Morrison, TKO victory in the 3rd round over Matt Weishar. Oh my God, just the press that was on this. I don't want to spend much time on this.
I know Bob Arum pulled this fight off.
Bob Arum didn't want this to happen. I have not seen this one for sure because it wasn't even televised.
No, it wasn't televised. I actually looked on YouTube to see if it was on there, and it's not on there. Arum didn't want it televised. He actually says you're not going to see Tommy televised either. He doesn't plan on televising it. He
decided to pull it from the televised stuff like the day before.
Yeah, and I actually seen a lot of people. There was a guy on YouTube on our video that was kind of pissed off because he did order the pay-per-view to see Tommy.
because he remembered him back in the day when he was a champion, you know. He said he was sick of watching Tyson just knock everybody out in 35
Yeah.
seconds or whatever, he's 90
And Morrison
seconds.
actually he didn't
actually
let them,
boxed, he
but
boxed.
yeah.
And you got a little bit of a show with him.
Yeah, thing is, Bob Arum shot himself in the foot with this one because he went on the record saying, first of all, he never wanted Tommy Morrison on his card. He claims that he was on a cruise ship. I reported this last week, that he said that. I was on a cruise ship, I come back, and my head matchmaker and one of the other promoters that we co-promote this card up with decided that they were going to sign Tommy Morrison while I was in international waters. I couldn't be reached. Well, Top Rank put their stamp of approval on it, and these guys are run by, they help me run Top Rank. So if they say it's going to happen, then damn it, it's going to happen. And that's cool. But then he shoots himself in the foot when he says that, if you were not going to get my pay-per-view with Celaya against Chavez Jr., and now because Tommy Morrison's on there, you are going to get it, you are an idiot. That's what he said. And now right here on YouTube is the guy that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He said that up there. I don't know if I would have ordered it just for Tommy Morrison. But I think
If there's one person that would do that, you just insulted them.
yeah, that's not the best thing to say. And
No.
he was pretty pissed off at Bob Arum actually probably for saying it.
Well, Bob Arum doesn't care about pretty much anything but pay-per-view buys when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, that's what he's going to care about. He's going to go on the circuit and he's going to talk about how, yes, I want the best fights ever, and I want to make sure that negative press stays away from us. But at the end of the day, it's all dollars, and he knows that Morrison brought in some more money.
Yeah.
But to say, if you hadn't already ordered it, now you are because of Morrison, you're an idiot. Bad idea.
Yeah,
I just think that's a bad idea.
I just hope Tommy can get in there and get that HIV test in and actually maybe come to the States and start fighting again instead of people thinking he's fighting out of States, fighting in Mexico and stuff because they don't require a blood test. So hopefully if he's saying he said it was a false negative or false positive, whatever, false positive, hopefully he can test negative for it now. Hopefully for his sake that he doesn't have it.
I saw an absolute idiot on Yahoo Answers. I'm going to say this a single time, and this is so very bad. And I'm not going to give the person's name or anything. I mean, it was a screen name anyway, but it got posted. I marked that I thought this was offensive, and then it got taken off on Yahoo Answers. He said, "Why don't we just have Tommy Morrison fight Baby Joe Mason, and whoever doesn't leave the ring, they become the new heavyweight champion because they're both medically damaged." I mean, it's like, oh my God, bleeding on the brain versus HIV, they'll just end up killing one another. He says, it's like, God, I immediately flagged it. I said, I typed it. Do you know how dumb you sound by saying that? These are two men who have put up their lives for this sport. Both of them have been medically cleared. Shut up and let them do their job. It's like, come on. Junior flyweight action. Edgar Sosa won a 12-round unanimous decision over Jesus Uribe. He retains his junior flyweight championship of the world, 120 to 108 twice, and once he got a judge to put 119 to 109. Uribe moves down to 10-5 and 1-4 knockout. Sosa 31-5 with 16 wins by way of.
Yeah, Sosa would have been the other guy that you're going to order this fight, this card for. Pretty exciting fighter.
Very little guy, but very explosive.
Yeah, and top guy over there at top.
Middleweight action. Marco Antonio Rubio, TKO victory in the 7th round over Jose Luis Zertuche. By the way, Zertuche is supposed to not be fighting either. He goes over to Mexico and all of a sudden he can fight.
Yeah, they got a little. They don't have as strict rules in some of the, like in the States or some of the.
All of my Mexican brethren out there, start sticking to the rules, man. Come on. Tommy Morrison, who can't fight anywhere, all of a sudden he's on the card when the promoter doesn't even know it. And Jose Luis Zertuche, he's not supposed to be in there. And now here he is fighting. It's like, oh my God, whatever.
But he ended Zertuche, I can't even say it. Zertuche ends up getting upset here. I think he was supposed to win this fight. Might have had some time off.
Probably is supposed to have won. 19-5 with 14 knockouts versus 41-4 with 36 knockouts. Rubio's supposed to be on the tail end of his career, but he's only 27. He's an old 27 though. He's been there and back. Oh my gosh. Hoping to see some bigger, better things from these guys. Junior welterweight action, Omar Chavez.
The younger brother.
The other. Yeah, this is the younger brother of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Scores a knockout in the first round over Miguel Camacho. Miguel Camacho sounds like he should be famous. He's not. Chavez, 6-0, 5 knockouts. Camacho moving down to 3-2-1.
I'm sure he's going to build his record up just like his brother did and stick with top rank, be one of their top guys. We'll see a lot from him in the future. 97 seconds here, so.
Well, from everything I've been reading, Omar Chavez is much more like his dad than Julio Jr. is.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that fight. That wasn't a televised fight. So.
No. Junior featherweight action, Bernardo Concepcion. We actually got a chance to see him on the Dia de los Dias. Concepcion fought. He won a 12-round unanimous decision over Juan Ruiz. Again, he sounds famous, but isn't. 114-112 twice and 114-111 once. Concepcion, only one loss.
Yeah, this was a little bit dirty fight here. Both the guys got points taken away for doing some dirty tactics, but it was a pretty entertaining fight as far as what I'm reading on the internet. And I don't know, we'll see what we can
I love watching Concepcion for Friday, Dover, Delaware. Here's the other upset of the weekend.
This is a pretty big upset as well because nobody had heard of Flores here.
BJ Flores did what, including myself, I didn't think it would happen. You actually picked him to win this fight. He pretty much messed up Darnell Dingaling man, Wilson. Dingaling.
He kind of faded towards the end, and Dingaling, I thought, might be able to pull it off.
It sort of looked like it at the end. I was like, oh man, BJ Flores did the job. You better give him this decision. But talk about these judges' scorecards. Ridiculously big spans in the judging. One judge had it 115, 113, which is around where I was at.
Yeah.
118 to 110 was another judge. How are they sitting watching the same fight?
There were a lot of close rounds. Flores was boxing a little bit more than Wilson, and Wilson was landing the bigger punches. So I can see some of the judges maybe taking the bigger punches and giving Wilson the round, but both these guys are pretty exciting. Wilson's a little bit more exciting, I think, than Flores. Flores is a little bit better boxer than what Wilson is.
BJ Flores showed exactly how you deal with a Mike Tyson built guy with short arms and huge pecs and huge biceps. You use the most basic boxing skill there is. You use that jab. You keep it in his face. You don't have to hurt him. Keep his ass away from you. That's all he did. He kept them away from him and threw his own stuff right down the pipe.
Tell me about all night on Friday Night Fights, them showing the Dingaling.
I was tired of seeing that knockout by the end. I was like, oh my God. Well, they've been doing this thing every week. They've been showing, a new candidate for knockout of the year.
And plus this one,
not knockout of the year, knockout of their entire decade, yeah. And this happened to be the week that they showed that one, so we had to see it another 3 times. On top of already seeing it 15 times.
Yeah, because they were showing it leading up to the fight to promote the fight because it was Wilson's last fight.
Well, my wife Angie comes on in, and I said, wait, I know exactly what punch it's going to be because I've seen it so many damn times. wait, not that one. And she goes, whoa! Play it again. I'm like, I don't have to. You know they're going to play it again. And they played it again right then, and then they played it again right then. Timmy, was I too loud on that one?
No, you're fine, Chris.
All right. That's cool, Timmy.
Chris gets all excited. Let him be.
Friday night, Boston, Massachusetts.
I seen some fights getting out to Boston.
Nice. We got to get back out there, man. Best spring break I've ever had. Man.
I don't know if it was the best I ever had, but it was a pretty good one.
No, best one I've ever had, but I'm not a golfer. And you guys always take those golf trips.
Yeah,
That's not really considered spring break anymore. We're a little old for spring break, but it's a good vacation.
30-year-olds don't go on spring break anymore.
Yeah, I went to Daytona Beach, and that was pretty good, too.
All right. Well, we were, 22 and 21 when we went on that? That was a good time. Featherweight action, Antonio Escalante, who's really big in Cicero.
Yeah, he actually lost. He had that big upset in Cicero.
Yeah.
Was that 13 months ago?
That was a while back, yeah.
It's Pastrami. Pastrada.
And his younger brother, Salami.
Misspoken names for.
But somehow he won't get a comment on that on YouTube. I don't know how that works.
No, how come the Trump ball guy doesn't get nothing?
Because they know I can't say anybody's name by now. I know who all the fighters are and stuff, but I can't pronounce it.
I think that's why they listen, to be honest.
Who is this Mike Tiasan? What is that? What is that? Tiasan?
Yeah, slap you.
I'll punch you in your eye. Escalante, 17-2 with 10 knockouts. Peranza, 30-12, 2 draws, 25 knockouts. Whatever. Escalante was being built up as this might be the future of the feather. No.
No, he's not. He's not quite as skilled as we thought.
Because you lose once, no one cares anymore.
Done. You're done in the world of
And
boxing.
he lost in Cicero.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Cicero's not Vegas, but Cicero's not Vegas.
But he was not supposed to lose that fight in Cicero, and he was well ahead on the card. Thought he had his man hurt, and just went and tried taking it to him. And I'm not going to try to say his name again. Came up and got him with a big hook and knocked him out.
Mauricio Pastrana.
Pastrana. Yeah, Pastrana nailed him. He's a little short guy.
Oh man, that was cool. That was cool. I don't even know what he's doing now.
I don't know.
He got the knockout of his life. He got the upset of his life, not the knockout, but the upset of his
Might
life.
have been his knockout of his life.
Well, it was up against the biggest name. Yeah. Welterweight action. Jeffrey Resto won an 8th round unanimous split.
What we got here? We got.
No, this was a split decision. Pardon me, up against Humberto Tapia.
I thought we were in Laporte for a minute. You were going to announce the wrong.
No. I'm 77-75 twice, and Resto got those two, and then Tapia got a 77-75 himself. But Resto ended up winning the decision on a split decision. Resto 21-2 with 13 knockouts. Tapia 12-6-1 with 5 knockouts. Welterweight action, Cosme Rivera, TKO victory in the 8th round over Raul Pinzon. Rivera 31-11-2 with 22 knockouts. Pinzon moving on down to 15-2, 14 knockouts. Bantamweight action, Eric Morel. Wow, I haven't heard from him in a long damn time. Eric Morel, 96 Olympian. He was on the Olympic team with Vargas and David Diaz and all these other big names.
Supposed to be down there with Zach Judah, but Zach Judah didn't make it.
Eric Morel gets an 8th round unanimous decision over Felipe Almanza. Morel 36-2 with 18 knockouts. Almanza 12-13-2, 6 knockouts. He came into this fight 12-12. They're trying to build up Eric Morel back again because he was the flyweight champion of the world a while back, but he is done.
Yeah, Martin Castillo was the last time that he got in the ring. That was Martin.
We've seen Martin Castillo fight, so that's cool.
Yeah, and he's a pretty tough fighter as well. So I mean, that wasn't that big of a loss for him because Castillo's a pretty good fighter. This guy here, I like Ishe Smith.
Junior middleweight action, Ishe Smith TKO victory in the 2nd round over Carlos De La Cruz. Smith 19-2 with 9 knockouts. De La Cruz 10-11-1 with 10 knockouts. Ishe Smith was on the Contender. That is where I knew him from originally, but
he put a lot more skills now into his repertoire going on in the future here. They're saying that he's going to be his next fight is supposed to be April 30th against Julio. So that's going to be a pretty tough test for him. When I look at him, he's a tough fighter.
Julio could take him.
Yeah, and Julio, I don't know. Julio hasn't looked good in his last few fights when he stepped it up. So we're going to have to see Ishe Smith. And he has looked pretty good when he stepped it up, but he has not won the fight.
Very true. Out of nowhere, Michael Moore gets a knockout in the 1st round. 1st round KO over Shelby Gross. Shelby Gross was not even like a bad fighter. 16-4, 13 knockouts. Michael Moore moves up to 52-4-1 with 40 wins by knockout. This was in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai.
I don't know where that's at.
What is it?
I need a globe.
A globe wouldn't help me because I doubt I could really point to it. It's over here. It's pink.
It's a pink, huh?
If that area is pink, then it's pink.
Shelby Gross's eyes pink because Michael Moore knocked him out in the 1st round.
All I know is about the back of his head. J.D. Chapman knocked out Rich Baruff, also at heavyweight, knocked out in the 2nd round.
Yeah, Baruff, we actually called one of his fights, and it was against a much lesser guy that we called his fight, but ends up getting knocked out here.
And the last fight of the night, Last fight, well, a couple more fights. Actually, Thursday night in Vegas. That was last week, right when we were going live.
Yeah, that was on Versus.
Yeah, junior welterweight on versus Kendall Holt won a 10-round unanimous decision over Ben Tacky.
Tacky just can't seem to get any kind of decision. Was this ended up being a knockout here, or was this a decision?
This was just a decision, but they don't have the scorecards for whatever reason. Holt moves up to 23-2 with 12 knockouts. Tacky moving down to 29-9-1, 18 knockouts. All of a sudden, Ben Tacky's getting all these Chicago ties because Tacky fought and he lost the decision in Cicero, and now Kendall Holt, who's always hanging out in Cicero in Chicago, is now fighting him. I mean, they didn't fight in Chicago; they fought in Vegas. But Ben Tacky with these Chicago, maybe the Chicago mob is getting a hold of these judges. I don't know.
Yeah, but Tacky's a pretty good fighter. The guy that he actually fought in Chicago, he had a pretty good fight with him.
Junior middleweight action: Vanes Martirosyan TKO victory in the third round over Mishi Munoz. Martirosyan 19-0 with 13 knockouts. Munoz moving down to 20-2 with 13 knockouts. And with that,
Before we take a break, Chris, since we're talking about upsets and that,
Yeah, what do we got?
tomorrow is February 15th. It is the 30th anniversary of this big upset. We're going to go ahead and this is going to be our trivia question. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to give all the YouTube people a chance to actually answer this question. We're going to have them until the start of the show next Thursday. We're going to announce the winner on the show next Thursday. So you people on YouTube get a chance to answer this. All you got to do is send us an email at bulletpunchboxinghour@yahoo.com. Answer the question, what big upset happened February 15th, 30 years ago? I will send you an autographed picture of one of the guys that was in this fight. There you go.
You're talking about the first guy, not anybody that sent it.
Anybody that sends the correct answer, we'll put all the names in a hat. We'll pick it. If we get more than one correct answer, we'll pull them all in a hat, and we'll.
you
pick
know
it
this
here
way
on
we're going to
the
get
show.
piles.
That's what I want. Anybody sends the correct answer, we're
So
going
it doesn't
put
have to be
their
the
name in a hat.
first one. It's just got to be before we go on.
Before we go on next Thursday, all you got to do is send us an email at bulletpunchboxinghour@yahoo.com.
See how this fool just rewrites our show right there?
I just went ahead and decided to give everybody that's on YouTube a chance.
No, that's a good idea.
People that don't listen live.
People don't necessarily listen live, but we got hundreds of listeners on that listen on delay.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and give everybody a chance to win this prize. It's going to be one of the fighters. I believe it is an 8x10 colored signed photo that I have in my house. It's either that or a magazine. I can't quite remember what I have, but I know I have an autographed picture of
That
this
you
person
had signed in front of you.
and signed in front of us.
Marvelous.
So there we go.
Very good. All right. Timmy the Bruce Patterson, take us away. This is your Bullet Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance. www.hssp.ccsportsjuice.com.